All right, again, so welcome everyone to today's SUNY Online Teaching webinar. My colleague Rob Pierakowski, the Assistant Director of Online Teaching, is going to be leading us today to learn a little bit more about engaging our students in Brightspace. So Rob, I will turn it over to you.
Thanks, Aaron.
Sure.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Rob Pierakowski. I am the Assistant Director of Online Teaching for SUNY Online, and I have spent the past 2 years training lots of faculty from our campuses in Brightspace. And I'm also a former online instructor, spent 16 years teaching online, um, teaching French at Cayuga Community College. So I'm here to talk to you today about some of the tools that you have in Brightspace, our new learning management system, um, for communication, interaction, and engagement for our online instructors. It's real important to pay attention to class community, and what we mean by that is trying to generate and design for a feeling of belonging in a community of learners. And a lot of students benefit from knowing that they can contact the instructor or other students in the class and fairly easily and smoothly. And so today I'm going to go over some of the tools you have for that purpose. Students also benefit from frequent um, announcements and or communications from the instructor in terms of addressing the class and the progress being made and what's coming up. And so when there is frequent communication from the instructor uh, in um, in terms of feedback on work submitted from learners in a class, or even general announcements, we generally regard that as a very effective practice, whereby students feel um, as if they can, uh, you know, uh, sort of rest on a feeling of trust and know that their instructor is fully accessible during the course of, a given semester. So let's take a look at some of the devices we have to foster interaction and communication inside of Brightspace. So in order to do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen with you. And what I have here is a course that I use uh, mainly for training purposes. It is a course I migrated, one of my old courses that I migrated from Blackboard. And I didn't dress it up too much. So that it would look like a fairly generic course for everybody. Um, the first tool that I would like to talk about a little bit is for private communication with students. And this is very important. So, in that students need to know that to be very clear on how they can contact you if something arises for them, or if they have a specific issue that they want to keep private. A lot of times it'll be around grades or circumstances for uh, circumstances that they are experiencing in their own lives. So uh, let me jump right to the devices we have in Brightspace to communicate privately with students, and mainly it is through what Brightspace calls email, what Blackboard used to call course mail. Course mail is perhaps a little bit better in terms of a name for it. But in Brightspace, um, there is an internal emailing system that is accessed. Here I'm inside a course now, um, and is accessed through the little envelope icon at the top of the screen. And so when we click on that icon, what we see are essentially two forms of communication available to us with students. One is instant messages, the other email. Instant messaging is fairly straightforward. Um, in that you can see, and we see a lot of this. I'll go full screen with this just so you can see. We see a lot of instant messaging. I'm sorry. We see a lot of screens in Brightspace whereby there aren't that many buttons to press, and so it's a fairly transparent interface. There aren't too many things I can click on here. So this is where as you can see, I've saved a message from April 20th, 2022, from a colleague of mine, Jeff Dugan, just to show you how it renders. But here in instant messaging, it is what the name implies. If I can set it so that when I log into my course, I am available in real time for my students. Now, students can instant message me asynchronously as well. And even if you're not a big fan of instant messaging, please know that students will see this link and think that this is a way to contact you privately. So if I want to create an instant message, what I can do is I can look for my friends who are currently online, and let's see if I have any. No friends found. Oh, isn't that terrible? Um, but if I wanted to, I could also go to my class lists, and I can see all of my students that who are either online or offline. You can see all of my students are offline at the moment, uh, maybe still vacationing, but what you can see here is that they are really fake students that have been planted into my training course. But if they were online, I could instant message them right away. Um, there is also an email system inside of Brightspace that is also fairly transparent. As you can see here, if I again click on the envelope icon and choose email, um, what I have on the left are my folders, a pretty standard set of folders. I can create new folders if I'd like. Um, and if I want to compose a message, I can easily compose a message here to any one of my students. And so I do have an address book here in Brightspace. And if I were to click that, I could find any student I'd like to. I have a filter here where I can go through different classes to which I have access, and I can zero in on the student that I would like. I can also just search for that student, start typing in a name, and it doesn't autofill for me, so that's okay. But I can easily find my students inside my courses, send an email. As you can see, I get a list of students down here inside my course. I can just select one if I'd like, and I could start to send a message. And so, did not populate. Also in email and in instant messaging and throughout Brightspace, I have this ability to record video on the fly. And we see this in providing feedback to students on particular assignments, um, but I can record either video or audio. And I do know from experience as an instructor that students really appreciate either hearing your voice or seeing you and hearing your voice when you use video. It does anything to mitigate that distance between you and the student is always helpful in, again, sort of establishing a system of trust and kinship, if you will, inside an online course environment. So I do recommend using this video liberally. And we're going to see this again elsewhere. If I stop my video here, um, and I click on it again, I think I can get it to, yeah, pull in the video. I do have to look one way. Maybe I can pull this over. No, I can't. And so with this communication system, it's very easy compared to the way it used to be, where we'd have to create a video, download it, upload it, all that. Here we create video in Brightspace on the fly. And if I were to click new recording, it's called a one button studio. And when I start recording, it records what I'm saying and obviously records through my webcam. I'm not sure if you heard that or not. I don't know if I clicked that little button when I shared. Um, but there's also a really neat feature here where when I go to add it, I can give it a title. I'm not required to give it a title, but I can caption all of my communications. And so if I choose language here and I ask it to automatically generate captions from audio, and I add that, what will happen is my video will automatically appear as a link down below. And if I give it a little time right away, it's currently being processed. But we will see again, as far as communications tools go, this is very powerful in that we can provide, a more sort of intimate way to communicate with students. Again, either on their assignments. I'm doing it here in an email message, but we're going to see this video capability all throughout Brightspace, and I'll point it out to you for the rest of the tools that we're working with. So again, that is instant messaging and email. Now, one caveat with the email that many of us are probably used to with Blackboard is that it is internal to Brightspace. So um, when you use email inside of Brightspace, it does not communicate out to other email systems. Not the full. It doesn't communicate out full messages to other email systems. It will notify and send an email that there is, for an example, to a Google account, that there is an email waiting in the Brightspace system, but it will not fully communicate with other email systems. And I know a lot of us are used to this from our Blackboard days. So the big advantage to using email in Brightspace is that it will be archived with the course. So any course-specific communications you have with students privately will archive with the course when the course is finally over. So, so that's a big advantage to using the Brightspace email. Next to that, yeah,
Rob,
sure,
before you go to the next one that you were going to show, I do have two
yeah,
questions on instant messaging,
sure.
very similar questions about what notifications do students get that they have an instant message? And if they're online in a different course, are they notified of an instant message? So I'm assuming it's a little indicator at the top there.
Yeah, yeah. This notification bell right here will notify students of any instant messages that come their way. So, and even if they're in another course, let me see if I get notifications from other courses here. I believe I do. So these are notifications from other courses. Okay, not from this course. So I can get notifications from any other courses that I'm taking in Brightspace here from this top bar. This top level bar right here is follows me globally. So if I put a picture in here in my profile, and if I put that in my profile, this picture will follow me in all of my other uh, uh, courses on this campus. Now, if I'm taking courses from multiple campuses, in Brightspace, we call those tenants, from multiple tenants, not necessarily, but on the same campus, which is most students experience. Um, this all of the information I put into these top level navigation bar. Anytime I use this, it is for essentially all of my courses that I take at a particular institution. Here, it's SUNY Center for Professional Development tenant. So anything that happens inside of this tenant will I can get notifications for under this bell. Okay, and I can also subscribe to anything inside of my course as well. And that's what this little icon is for. Any subscriptions that come my way. Um, so any communications for let's say a discussion forum or a discussion topic, I can, if I click the subscribe button, I'll be notified under this icon as well. On this top bar again, this follows me through to all my to all my courses, sort of cascades to all my courses that I take on this campus. Um, I do have some options here that I'd like to show you. And again, this is in terms of um, uh, staying aware of any communications that are coming my way, things I'd like to be notified about. All end users have control over this, and um, I've had lots of discussions in my trainings in terms of control over these notifications. Now, let me show you what I mean. Underneath my name here, I can choose notifications, and I'm just going to pull down. I will show you what's up top. First of all, the end users have to fill this out for themselves. So even when I fill this out, I'm really only filling it out for me, Rob, the instructor. But what I would encourage you to do if you're a faculty member is to inform your students that there is, again, a notifications link underneath their name up top. Here's the link. And when we do that, what they can do is, if I can send my email notifications right here, this is my work email. And it's great. And again, I mentioned before that all all email is internal to Brightspace. That's true. But when I get a notification for things happening in Brightspace, or even a message in Brightspace, I don't see the content of the message. I see that I get notified that I have a message waiting for me in Brightspace. So every once in a while, we can think that we can click respond, in my case, in Microsoft Outlook, to a message that I've received. But that's not true. What I need to do is I need to go back. I need to go into Brightspace, and I need to respond through Brightspace. And again, that's how it worked in Blackboard. And that's how it works in Brightspace as well. And so I can set my contact method here to be notified from my work through my work email. I can also set a mobile number here so I can be notified on my cell phone. As you can see, I don't choose that option, but I have that option, and students have that option as well. Um, it's important to sort of understand it, because some of this, as students fill these things out, sometimes they can think that they can email into the course through their phones, and they can't. So they need to log into Brightspace and conduct email inside of Brightspace if you use the Brightspace email system for private communication with students. Um, And so here, again, I am on the notifications page. And just for some of you that just came in, that is a link right under my name. Okay, and it is end user specific. So if students want to be notified for these things, they need to do it on their own. So here's some of the things that students can be notified about. And I usually tell faculty that this is a really handy feature for any student that comes to you and says, I'm taking several online courses. I'm worried about staying abreast of what's happening in each and every one of them. If that ever comes up, um, this is a great place to send students and have them update their options for being notified about things. So again, what this will do is, as I designate it, it will send a message to my personal email, the one that I put in, as well as my phone, that there is something happening in what's called the activity feed, which I will show you in a little bit. That there's a new announcement available or an announcement has been updated. Um, any activity on assignments, as you can see, there's a couple different kinds. Any content that's been uploaded into the course, any activity in discussions or grades or quizzes. Students have the option to have themselves be notified here in Brightspace, and it's a powerful tool for for the course to push out notifications out to students. So, so I highly recommend using it. Um, and you can see here, exclude some courses. So, what this tells us as instructors is, oh, these notifications are going to be for all courses unless I exclude a few. So again, these are global settings for students. If they set this notification thinking that it's just for your course, they're going to get notifications from any other course that they take in Brightspace on that campus as well. So any questions about these notifications?
Rob, do you know if students are using the Pulse app, can they get to their instant messaging and emails through the app?
So I don't know. I'm not really clear on what the functionality is in regard to email and instant messaging on the
It looks
Pulse
like we
app.
have an instructor who said they are able to as an
They're able to.
instructor. So perhaps students can too. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I'm very leery about the Pulse app, so let me talk about it a little bit. Um, I'm a little leery about the Pulse app because I don't have a super clear understanding of what it does not do. A few things I do know is that there is, even if you're using your cell phone and you want to access a course, if you're a student, you want to access a course through the Pulse app, you're better off loading it up in a browser. Loading up a browser, like loading up Chrome on your phone or whatever browser you use on your phone, and actually accessing your course that way. Um, and I've seen a few demos on the Pulse app, and they do a great job of talking about what it can do. But I need clarification as a trainer. I need real clarification as to what it cannot do. And so I appreciate that feedback that was just offered up in here in our meeting, um, because I really need I need to hear more from the field in terms of the utility of the Pulse app itself. So so that's where I'm at on that. I apologize for not knowing more about the Pulse app itself. Um, if I save these notifications, I guess I go back to my profile here. Um, and so I'm trying to think more private communication. So that is really, our, avenues for private communication in a course. Of course, there are lots of faculty that use their campus-based email. That's fine. Um, I'm not endorsing one or the other. What I will sort of emphasize is being very clear to students about what type of private communication channel you want to use. And because and even if students stray from that, so let's say they start using course mail to communicate with them, I do encourage you as you're teaching your course to guide students into your preferred mode of private communication. Doesn't mean that you're not open to these other channels, but for instance, if one of your concerns is archiving these communications with the course, then Brightspace email is what you'd want to use. There's also a setting here that I want to make you aware of. Um, Under my name in my account settings, because we talked about instant messaging, I do just want to show you um, uh, down below, and I will scroll up here, but since we talked about instant messaging here, let me just show you where I am again. So I went into account settings. That is under my name here. As an instructor, um, sometimes you might not want to always appear online when you're logged in. Underneath in this account setting, you do have this option of controlling your online status. So here I have clicked always appear offline. So if instant messaging isn't my thing and I don't want students, instant messaging me, um, I could always appear offline, always appear online when I'm logged in. Um, so just know that that's available to you underneath, again, your account settings here. And just, a few other words about these account settings. Um, you can designate and students, again, these are global settings for end users. So you can set your preferred pronoun and allow others to see your preferred pronoun if you wish, and students can do the same if they want to. There are a few other settings here that might be of interest: your font settings, your video settings. I'm not sure why we wouldn't want to optimize our video presentation. Locale and language, a 24-hour clock. Again, for any international students that come your way, or students that might be in a different time zone, you might want to be aware of this and make them aware. Um, but but in terms of communication and interaction, just there aren't many other account settings we need to really pay attention to here. Um, And I would like to talk just a little bit about design here too. And again, because our goal here is to create a sense of class community. Um, while being clear about our tools and how we want students to communicate, very important. There are a few, just sort of design pieces here. For instance, in my course information section, which is essentially my syllabus broken down into smaller bits, um, I do the second piece in here is about contacting me. Um, and so I do want to be like real clear about private contact. I would probably add a little bit more here, public, you know, uh, public messages or something like that, um, in discussion forums. But I do want to sort of, be very direct to students and make them know right away that for all confidential matters, they can correspond with me privately. You'll see here too that I put my phone number in here. And some faculty that does sort of raise some questions. For me, again, I taught for 16 years at Cayuga Community College. It was always helpful anytime a student called me. I even went as far as when I would launch a course, my campus, QU Community College, when they sent me the roster, I would also see the student's phone number. I would give the student a quick call, and it was always appreciated as far as I could tell. Um, but it just, again, anything that we can do that contributes to that connection, to that connective tissue between us and and our online students is always helpful. Um, and so I would give students a call, usually be their cell phone. I'd ask them to, now that they have my number, just call me anytime they want it. That is just my teaching style. I don't recommend this for all instructors. Um, but I will share with you that any phone call I ever got from a student was always a very helpful and positive experience. Sometimes they have circumstances they had to share with me. Sometimes they didn't understand something. Sometimes something was broken in my course, and they would help me understand where it was, and I could get in there and fix it. And again, overall, what that kind of connection with my students, um, you know. Uh, generated was again a sense of trust, a sense of connection, a sense of attentiveness that I could be responsive to them as much as possible. And again, with my students, it was always very helpful. Another little design piece that I would highly recommend in terms of contributing to class community is create an icebreaker module and folder or experience for students in which students have the opportunity at the onset of the course to meet their classmates. Again, you can see it right here. It's the first link, and it's a discussion topic, and that has always been super helpful in terms of everyone getting to know each other and creating a sense of class community. So I would recommend those two design suggestions. Okay, any questions so far?
No, I don't think anything hasn't been addressed.
Okay,
If I'm mistaken, please feel free to let me know in the chat.
okay, let me get back to my course homepage here. Okay, so I went through, the sort of main device we have for private communication, um, which is course mail. And so now let's talk about, some of our public uh, features that we have in Brightspace to um, communicate publicly with students. And so, in other words, send out messages. um, there is, as you can see in my version of Brightspace right here, I have a link for announcements right up top in what we call the mini navigation bar right here. And so if I click on that, I do want to just, show you again this option here. When we click a new announcement, again, the Brightspace interface, fairly transparent. It wants a title, which it calls a headline. And um, I can put in content. You notice I have the full rich text editor for content here. And so I can add videos. Um, I can add a video note. Again, that's what Brightspace calls those quick on the fly videos. And so I could do that new recording, and I could caption it. Um, I can also, what Brightspace has, just so you know, has what Blackboard finally had in its last couple of years with us here at SUNY, the ability to link internally, which in the context of announcements um, is very helpful in terms of um, connecting students right to the assignments that they need. Um, like, in other words, be sure to participate in the current discussion. Um, and articipate. Wow, that's an interesting word, huh? So, I have the ability to create what they call a quick link in Brightspace. Let me show you what that is, and let me slow down a little bit. I highlighted in the current discussion, and sort of right in the middle of my rich text editor here is a little link, and that is what's called a quick link. And what I can do is, you can see I get a very sort of detailed map of my course, just sort of structured in a different way. So here are my discussions, and let's pretend that this is the current discussion, and I can link them right to the discussion topic, which I will do. Sorry, I shouldn't have done that. Oh, yeah, it'll open in a new window from this announcement if I want them to do that. I can have it in the same frame or in a whole window all by itself. So if I insert that, um, as you can see, it drops in the link, and that's really handy. And that it, like the video that I showed you, the record video, you're able to do that throughout Brightspace. And so, how does this contribute to communication and interaction? Well, instead of giving them directions in module 3, click on the discussion at the bottom of the page or something, you can link directly to things. So in terms of our role as instructors of guiding students to where they need to be, this can be a very helpful tool um, in terms of getting them directly to the spot where they need to be in my course. So these internal links, and again, they're called quick links in Brightspace, can be real helpful. Um, so let me just put in a title here. Something like that. Oh, and by the way, I should have showed you. I'm just going to go into that announcement one more time. This is where we can, I guess we have to add a video note. Oh, here it is. So sorry. Under attachments. This is where we could record a video note or an audio note. And as a language instructor, and I hope some of you have the same experience in the room. There is it is a lot more tangible, and there's a distinct difference when I hear a student's voice. So as a language instructor, I require my students to create audio files very often in the course, and when I hear a student's voice, there's a depth to the experience that I simply don't get when I look at their writing samples. And by the way, students have the ability to create audio as well. So just be aware that that's available to them too. Um, so I would encourage you to, definitely, check it out if it interests you. It's low production to begin with, especially with the video. You can see it's just webcam quality. Um, but it's again, that connection that you make with students, and that they can make with each other, that is real helpful. Um, Okay, so just in terms of again, public facing communication with students, I do want to show you another tool. I need to scroll down my home page because that's where it's located for me, and it is called the activity feed. And this is something relatively new for us, um, in that. Uh, yeah, I like to call it announcements plus. And what's the plus? There are a few. First of all, students can comment on any announcements that are created here. And when I click the down arrow here and I manage my commenting and posting, this sort of reveals the functionality of the activity feed. First of all, I have full control as the instructor over enabling comments or not for students. So here I have comments enabled, and enable mini bar notifications for comments so that I'll be notified when somebody makes comment on this activity feed, even if I didn't choose that in my notifications. And here, posting permissions allow learners to create posts or do not. So this is what I mean by announcements plus. It's sort of like I can make announcements out to the class through the activity feed, but students can as well if I enable them to. So it serves as, more or less like a bulletin board on my homepage. And I think this could be really handy. And as you can see right here, it has the quick link functionality. So if I create a post and I get in there, I can create these quick links as well. So so a student can get in there, can conceivably say, "Hey, I'm not understanding, the assignment in Module 4," and if he or she is savvy enough, they can make uh, a link to that assignment as well, and link me directly to it. But this activity feed, again, kind of like announcements plus. Um, and I have this little assignment button right here, and I could just drop in the select an existing assignment, and I can make sure that that's front and center for students to jump right in and click right on it, if I wish to do that. So so a very handy piece here in terms of public communication in Brightspace, um, communicating to my whole class. Okay. Any questions on the activity feed?
Rob, just wondering if you could show again where that is and where to drop down for settings.
Yeah, okay. You know what? I want to check something here just to see if it's in here. I never really did this before, but I do want to see if it's under the course administration. This is no, it's not. Okay, so that's fine. The activity feed is something called, in general terms, a widget. And the widgets on those are these little boxes of information here that I have. So here's the D2L visual table of contents widget. Here's the little widget that we use for SUNY support online services. And so on my homepage, the activity feed is kind of pushed down. Here's my announcements widget. And then I gotta go through past a couple of other widgets, and here's my activity feed. Um, this is controlled by your campus. Different than Blackboard. Okay, is that the instructor in Brightspace, the instructors do not have the ability to move around the widgets on the homepage. So if I had that ability, I would put this more toward the top of the page. So where you'll find the activity feed, and again, that's why I looked under course admin, because you can find a lot of things under the course administration page, but not the activity feed, as I just looked for it. Um, so that's where it will be. It'll be on your home page if your campus has loaded one up.
And Rob, the only other question is relative to teaching foreign language online. Mary is also a French instructor and just asked what other particular things you might do to add to the student experience in a foreign language course and how to maybe address the issue of accessibility. An example she gave was making PowerPoint accessible if you don't want to add subtitles in English. Not sure if you have tips for that. That could actually be a whole nother training.
Yeah. Accessibility is another training, and um, so just a few things, and that might benefit the entire class. I did mention um, uh, the importance of students hearing my voice. Um, when I first started teaching, I had publisher created audio files of real French people speaking the French that was in the texts, um, and quite a few students said they prefer hearing me do it. So if that could help you in any way. Um, also, I'm just trying to think in terms of class community. Oh, the discussions, which I'm about to get into. I do want to show you the discussion form. Um, the discussions in my foreign language class, um, really because I taught elementary French, students weren't ready for conversing in French, if you will, um, and so I used the discussions for cultural purposes. So I would bring up different cultural subjects. Related to French-speaking countries, and those worked really well in terms of binding the students together, and because a lot of the exercises in teaching a foreign language are somewhat rote. Perhaps more so compared to other disciplines, in that a student could feel, and sort of envision this right away. Students could feel very isolated in terms of trying to master a set of vocabulary or a particular grammar piece or something like that. And so, in addition to me being available to them, um, I did have a few discussions where they could ask for help from each other. Um, but also those cultural discussions really pull them together as just learners, thinking about the topic of a particular discussion um, that we were having in class, and really sort of gave them opportunity to communicate with each other. Um, which there was a palpable sense of class community in the discussions. One thing I like to remind you is that um, it is only in the discussion activities where students actually see each other, if you will, in an online course. Otherwise, you could imagine that they're clicking through content, and they're creating in most courses they're creating assignments that are really just between them and the instructor. Um, and so, I would really, love to, sort of encourage you all uh, to use the discussions, specifically, if for class community, in that again they will see each other, hear each other, if you will, or read each other's thoughts on topics. And if you get them using some of these video capabilities in Brightspace, you know literally get to see each other and hear each other. um, um, so again, accessibility would be its own topic, and what we do want to, be aware of at all times is that we may have students with not only physical disabilities but maybe cognitive disabilities that are, navigating our courses, and design, an experience that is as easily navigable as possible. Um, and so we do have workshops on accessibility and universal design for that purpose. Um, I do see, by the way, I did use the when I created the video the other before. Um, you may have noticed that I had a long list of choices in terms of which language I wanted to choose. Um, and so I have done videos in French, and that captioning works just fine, flawlessly, as far as I could tell. Um, so that has a lot of possibilities in terms of teaching a foreign language. So if I read a passage to students, I can caption it in French so that students can not only hear but see the words down below. So I think that that has something native. It's native to Brightspace, but it has a lot of possibilities. Um, so Okay, let me just show you a few design principles in regard to discussions that I think could be helpful. In Brightspace, we have a discussion section that will uh, that is its own section in our courses. So in other words, I'm going to use Blackboard as a reference again. I apologize if some of you never used Blackboard, but um, in Brightspace, we create discussions in uh, in the discussion section of the course, and then we plant those discussions wherever we want, inside of a folder, inside of a module. Um, so we create it in their own section. Let me show you what I mean. For me, I access my discussions through the course activities link here in my mini navigation bar. And when I go to the discussions, you'll see a long list because I've been training for a long time. So I've created a lot of different types of discussions. So here's the Meet Your Classmates discussion that I showed you before. Here's a Talk with the Professor discussion, which for those of you who have been teaching for a while online, you may be familiar with this, but again, in terms of contributing to class community and giving a place where students feel they, need to ask a question, raise their hand. Um, these are a great design feature, really for any course, so that, essentially what we want to do, I like to use the metaphor of creating a footpath for students. And so on that footpath, what we would like them to be able to do is on any stone that they could um, they could stop and they could ask a question, and that ability to ask a question is one click away. So how do we make that happen in Brightspace? um, well, this functionality here, when we create a discussion in this discussion area, and again, I got there by course activities and discussions. When we create a discussion here, and I've already created it, and I really don't have enough time to go through the form with you, um, but you can see I created two discussions right here: talk with the professor and ask a question. They kind of serve the same purpose. And in these discussions, you could see, I'll just blow it up a little bit. I do try to be clear, especially with like talk with the professor or with ask a question, that to inform the students that this is a public space. So they don't, if they have to ask me a question of a private nature, please do that through course mail or email. Um, but so if I create a generic discussion here in Brightspace called Talk with the Professor or Ask a Question, what I am able to do is I am able to, when I go back into my modules, I'm able to take that one discussion and plant it in each of my modules. So I'll go into my even in the course information folder. I'll show you how to do this. So I may already have one down here. No, I don't. So if a student had any question about, what they just read in this course information section, what I want to do is I'll click the existing activities button in Brightspace. This is how I can insert something that's already been created. Uh, And so existing activities, I'll go to discussions, and you can see I have a talk with the professor discussion right here. And so uh, this is the forum title. This is the actual discussion. So I'm going to put in ask a question because I kind of like that title a little bit better. And to be fair, I'm not a professor. So so here you can see in Brightspace, whenever we add something to a folder, it always defaults to the bottom of the page. And so I can essentially plant this discussion, this one single discussion, in every module that I have. So let me show you. If I go into module 1 here, I could do the same thing. I could do existing activities, discussions. Here's my talk with the professor and ask a question. So in other words, on that footpath that I'm creating for students, I can create a single link. I can create a link to an ask a question discussion. And just so you know, if you haven't done it yet in Brightspace, when we want to move something, we simply grab it on the left and we pull it up. And here I have a long module, so I have to, oh, look at that. I already did it. See, I already did this stuff. I did it before, but this is all the same exact discussion. And so in other words, one ask a question discussion planted in all of my modules to make sure that it's one click away from my students. Okay, I'm going to stop there because we're at 12:53 now. And I want to know if, we have any questions, in regard to, what I went through here in Brightspace with you.
Thanks, Rob. There's some conversation in the chat, but if anyone does have a question, feel free. You can unmute yourself or you can use the chat if that's more comfortable.
I have a question for you, Rob.
Sure.
What about these instant videos and putting a whiteboard in it? So if I need to solve a mathematical problem.
Yeah, they're just webcam. Don is, great to see you, by the way, or your
You
picture.
too, Rob.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no whiteboard functionality for the videos. They're very, sort of low production value.
Looks like I have to just hold up a piece of paper with the solution, or just put the solution as an attachment to the whatever document,
Yeah.
and then talk about that solution. Maybe that might be the way around it.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm trying to think if there's a way to do it. I mean, you could point your webcam to, literally a piece of paper and you could work out a problem and talk it, if you don't need them to see your face, and you want them to see you working the problem, you could just point the webcam to a whiteboard and
Yeah.
narrate it.
Thanks, Rob.
Yeah.
Hi,
Sorry.
hi, Rob. This is
Yeah.
Ken. Hi,
Ken.
how are you?
Good.
Thank you. Thank you. Always good hearing you talk and getting a little bit of, getting new information. My question is, what you just went over a couple minutes ago in regards to putting that ask a question. How do you receive that from the student? And do other students see the question asked? So how do you know that a question, does it go to your email? So you're like, okay, I got to go check out the student has a question. And
Oh,
does it indicate the module that they might be in? So if they have a problem with module 3, what will that response look like? If you could just give us an overview.
No, great question, Ken, and that is a very real issue that we've been dealing with since the beginning. So if a student says, "I don't understand the assignment," or even the assignment in this module, as a single discussion that is in every single module, what you have to do is in the directions, you have to tell students to specify exactly the name of the assignment and what module it's in order to, to correctly answer the question. Now, in discussions, for all discussions, there is a subscribe button. And so if you click subscribe, any activity in that discussion you will be alerted to it immediately. Let me share my screen one more time with you. Right up here, up top, in between the email and the notification bell, is the subscription alert. So anytime, all you need to do as the instructor is subscribe to that discussion, and anything that happens in there, you will be alerted to right away through this little icon right here.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Sure. Okay, we're at the end of the hour. Any more questions or comments? Alex, you're such a specialist on class community. It's hard for me have you be silent.
Well, another thing I was thinking about when Ken was talking, another way that we have solved that problem is to create separate discussions for each module, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
And then the discussions pertaining to a specific module would live, you know, within that module. I mean, good instruction, you can't beat good instructions though, so.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, everybody. Thank you so much for your attention today, and I appreciate you all coming to this. And I wish you luck in your teaching and course design. So thanks so much.
Thank you, Rob, as always. For those of you that would like to access the recording or had difficulty getting into the Zoom today, I'm posting a link in the chat. That should be up there and live by tomorrow. And then we have the schedule here of future sessions for this spring, and you could register at that same link where you would get the recording. So thanks very much, everyone, for your time and attention.
Erin?
Yeah.
Can I just say about the summit, say something about the summit? For
Sure.
those of you who are still here, just wanting you to know that we have an event coming up at the end of February that will be freely live streamed, and it's the SUNY Online Summit for anyone who's interested in online teaching and learning. And registration, you have to register, but it's going to be streamed virtually and for free. And if you happen to be in New York City, you can join us in person. The information is on that link. Thanks everybody for joining.
Thank you.